For the scene view, we're going to take a look at the basic pieces of it. We won't go into all of them just so we can focus on the things that you'll use most. We looked at the toolbar with the tools up here. We mentioned what hotkeys were available. Let's take a look at what the hotkeys are inside of here. With your mouse, if you middle mouse click the wheel, you push the wheel down, you'll be able to get the pan tool. The pan tool is going to allow you to just move it around like this. Notice when you let go of the pan tool, it's going to go back to whatever tool you were previously using. So it's just a temporary use on it. If you right click inside your scene and go back and forth, you'll notice you're actually pivoting around with the camera view of your scene. Your left click is going to allow you to single click an object and also left click and drag to select an object. Unity requires you to select all the way around the object, notice, before it actually is officially selected. If you hold down the Alt key and you left click and drag, you'll notice the drag type is actually drag around. I'm focusing on an object. So holding down the Alt key and left clicking and dragging. If I hold down the Alt key and I right click and drag, I zoom very smoothly in and out. So right click, holding down Alt, you'll smoothly zoom in and out. To do a regular zoom in and out, you can use your mouse wheel and just roll the wheel forward and backward. To do a fly through inside your scene, if you right click on your mouse where you have your pivot, you can now use your WASD and you can actually push forward, back, left and right, so you can strafe around, and as you move around you can move your mouse and focus in and around the scene. Those are going to be all the different options you can use to actually navigate within the scene. The Scene tab features a handful of things. Main thing, for instance, you can choose the filter. If I'm only looking for the camera, notice when I type in camera, everything fades out, except if I have a camera in my scene, the camera actually stays brightly shaded. I have options on the gizmo. If you click on the drop down to be able to see the different types of gizmos, basically just to think of it as filter. I can turn my grid on and off from here. I can also turn my icons as 3D icons or standard. My effects are going to allow me to put in skyboxes and fog and flare and animated materials and be able to see those and turn them on and off. You have an audio option, and if you have audio inside your scene, you can actually listen to it without hitting play. You can disable and enable your lights inside the scene so you can see what they look like. The 2D view allows you to go into the 2D view. Notice your gizmo over on the right hand side disappears. This is allowing you to stay in one mode only. So for instance, if you watch right here, when I push the 2D, notice how it flipped around? Flipped around because its only view in 2D is this direction. So when you're working with the 2D elements, just remember that. The last two, RGB color value, this allows you to see different elements on your textures during the inside the scene, as well as the textured side here if you want to see wireframe of objects, or if you want to see textured wireframe objects. You can view all the different ones through here. For the inspector, remember that the inspector tab is going to be blank unless something is selected in the scene. If I left click on that cube I have, it's going to show over in the inspector. It's going to let me know first the name of the object, whether the object, the little checkbox, this is going to be whether it's turned on or off. If I uncheck it, it's hidden inside the scene. The game object and everything below it is now disabled. If I check it back, I'll be able to see it again. Next to it is the icon representation. Currently we're saying we're going to represent it with the object itself. We could also select an icon. For instance, if I zoom in here, I might want to have cube being represented. I could also go in, I could change it up to a dot. You can also go to Other, and Other is going to open up your browser and let you actually choose a different type of element for it. This is just simply representing an icon in the scene, so you can change to whatever type you'd like to have inside it. I'm going to go back to my icon and choose None. Right below that is a tag and a layer. The tag is going to be, both of them are just simple ways of identifying in code what you want something to happen. For instance, I could put a tag and say tag is going to be player. That way I know in code I can say if I get a tag player, then I can check for a piece of code and say let player run around or let player jump. Layer is going to say what can be seen or not seen. For instance, you may only want your camera to see layers that are just with water, and that camera will only render the water layers. Below is going to be the transform. Transform is going to be on every object. It's going to say where is the object located in 3D space, so your position, which is your XYZ coordinate. Next to that is going to be rotation and scale. Now you can actually, if you mouse over on any of the variables here, you can left click and drag, and as you drag you'll notice inside your scene that you can actually move your object around this way. If I move my object here, I also notice that I update my variables there. The other option for this, let's make sure we touch on it, you'll see a little bookmark here, and you'll also see a little gizmo here. The settings drop down, if you click on it, you can reset. That means it's going to reset all the values. You can also go into here and copy components, paste components, you can remove components. Each one of these are called components. There's a piece of code that is attached to these that allow elements of this to happen. For instance, if we wanted a collider, there's a script for a box collider class that creates it and makes it happen. If you want to add a component to it, you can click on Add Component, and you can type in words. For instance, if I typed in, we have Mesh Collider here, we could type in Line Renderer and push Enter. If you push Line Renderer and place it in there, you'll notice that it attaches that component to this object. So now I have this component as part of it. Okay, so when it comes to the inspector, this is just going to be filled with a whole bunch of different components, allowing different behaviors and interactions of objects to occur.